Good evening. Heavy rainfall and storms have again disrupted the UK's transport and power networks. Rail services have been hit, as have electricity supplies, as the Met Office issued warnings about high winds and potential flooding. David Cameron was confronted by one furious flood victim as he visited an area affected by the bad weather. The Prime Minister said more should have been done. Fatima Manji reports.
The floods may have subsided, but the anger has not. And as the Prime Minister took a tour of the village of Yalding, one of the worst hit areas, it wasn't long before he was met with it.
As I say, the council, on Monday we tried to contact them, nothing.
Have the council?
Erica Olivares told David Cameron she felt abandoned by local authorities. He made this promise.
Well, I'll get on to the council.
The council told us they're not yet aware of a call from Mr Cameron, and they have been working on relief efforts. Thousands in Kent were affected by the floods. Many left without power, others had to be rescued from their homes on Christmas Day. The Environment Agency say although the storm was forecast, the intensity of the rain made river flooding much worse than expected. Across the country, it's not just flooding, but also strong winds causing disruption. In Blackpool, high winds of 80 miles per hour caused dangerous conditions, forcing roads to be closed off. Newcastle was one of the many cities affected by rail disruption, as trains were running at reduced speed. And on the Welsh coast, high waves kept any walkers away, as strong winds caused power lines to fall, cutting off more homes from electricity. Across the UK, 13,000 remain without power. Back in Kent, the PM met with Environment Agency officials to talk about why warnings weren't good enough.
We need to learn the lessons. We are seeing these events take place more often. Now, the government is spending more on flood defences over the next 4 years than over the last 4 years. There's a lot of flood defences being built. Something like 80,000 houses were protected this time, but we've got to do more.
But this mission to do more may be frustrated with the Environment Agency set to lose 1,700 jobs by October, meaning tackling the next set of floods may prove to be an even bigger challenge.
Fatima Manji reporting. Now, 5 Britons jailed in Russia for protests about Arctic drilling are back in the United Kingdom tonight. They'd spent 2 months in prison before they were finally freed and then allowed to leave under a prisoner amnesty. A warning, there's flash photography in this report from Jane Deeth.
Packed and oh so ready to go. Journalist Kieran Bryan and Greenpeace's Philip Ball and Alex Harris at St Petersburg Airport. Anthony Perrott and Ian Rogers were checking in too. Everyone relieved to be checking out of a Russian nightmare. A 6th freed Briton, Frank Hewitson, is travelling separately, but his friends flew to Paris for the train to London, where family and hugs were waiting. And the relief. They'd be facing a trial and maybe 7 years in jail, but for a new Russian prisoner amnesty.
I genuinely feared missing out on the chance to be a father, to marry the woman I am now marrying, thankfully. It was my whole life, my whole future, in the palm of one man's hand, as far as I can tell. And
who, Putin?
I think so. I think it was a political game that we got caught up in.
The 5 say they were kept apart in prison, locked in freezing cells for 23 hours a day.
Isolation is torture, and the cells are disgusting, the food is revolting, you can't eat it. We all lost a lot of weight. We can't communicate with anyone. You know, we spent 2 months in a Russian jail cell and 100 days detained for a crime we didn't commit. It was obscene, a complete overreaction on behalf of Russia.
It all began with a protest which was classic Greenpeace, but Russia took exception to the campaign against drilling in the Arctic. The group were arrested and charged with hooliganism. Their 2 months in jail got the Arctic 30 more attention than they could ever have dreamed, including celebrity protests. The freed Britons believe Moscow abandoned its icy stance because the outcry over their imprisonment was threatening to spoil the upcoming Winter Olympics. The Foreign Office has welcomed the end of the ordeal but says it has concerns about Russia's legal system. These Britons very narrowly avoided experiencing that system firsthand inside a St Petersburg courtroom.
Fatima Manji reporting. Now, the former Lebanese finance minister Mohamed Chattar has been killed in a car bomb explosion in Beirut. 4 other people also died in the blast near government offices and the parliament building. 50 people were injured. Mr. Chattar was a strong critic of Syria's President Assad and the Lebanese Hezbollah movement. South Sudan's government has agreed to a ceasefire which could end the current fighting with rebel groups. More than 1,000 people are reported to have been killed and 100,000 have fled their homes in the past fortnight. Regional heads of state have appealed to rebel groups to also sign up to the ceasefire move. In Argentina, 70 people suffered a series of injuries after being attacked by a school of piranha-like carnivorous fish. The incident took place as hundreds bathed in a river in Rosario City. Paramedics said dozens of people had been bitten by the palometa fish, and some, including 7 children, had lost parts of their fingers and their toes. Football, and Cardiff City have sacked their manager, Malky Mackay. The club lost their last home game 3-0. The manager and owner had publicly fallen out in recent weeks.